Imagine being so confident in your integrity that you could say to God, "Test me however you want. Examine every thought, every motive, every hidden corner of my heart." That's exactly what David does in Psalm 17. And what you're about to discover will revolutionize how you think about confidence, justice, and dealing with toxic people. This isn't just ancient poetry, it's a masterclass in psychological resilience that modern therapists charge hundreds of dollars to teach. By the end of this video, you'll understand why David's approach to handling enemies and injustice is more effective than anything you'll find in self-help books. Here's the shocking truth. Most people are completely wrong about how to deal with difficult people. And David's 3,000-year-old strategy will change everything you thought you knew about standing up for yourself. O Lord, hear my plea for justice. Listen to my cry for help. Pay attention to my prayer, for it comes from honest lips. Right from the start, David does something most people never do when they're facing injustice. He goes to the highest authority first. The phrase honest lips in Hebrew is lo murmur, literally meaning no deceit or without fraud. David isn't just asking for help, he's declaring that his request comes from a place of truth, not manipulation or self-serving lies. Think about this. When someone wrongs you, what's your first instinct? Most people immediately start building their case, gathering allies, or plotting revenge. But David's strategy is radically different. He starts with honesty, first with himself, then with God. This isn't weakness, it's actually the foundation of unshakable strength. When you know you're operating from truth and integrity, you can face any opposition with confidence. Research in psychology shows that people who maintain honesty even when it's disadvantageous actually experience less stress and anxiety during conflicts. Declare me innocent, for you see those who do right. Now this might sound arrogant, but look deeper. David isn't claiming to be perfect, he's claiming to be righteous in this specific situation. The Hebrew word zodik means justified or in the right, not sinless. David is essentially saying, I'm not the problem here, and you know it. This is crucial for mental health. Sometimes you need to stop questioning yourself and start trusting your moral compass. We live in a culture that teaches us to constantly doubt ourselves, to always consider that maybe we're wrong, maybe we're overreacting. But sometimes you're not wrong. Sometimes you're being genuinely mistreated, and acknowledging that truth isn't pride, it's sanity. David has done the internal work to know where he stands, and that gives him the courage to ask for vindication. When was the last time you confidently stood up for yourself without apologizing for taking up space or having boundaries? You have tested my thoughts and examined my heart in the night. You have scrutinized me and found nothing wrong. I am determined not to sin in what I say. This is where David's confidence becomes truly extraordinary. He's inviting the most thorough examination possible, not just his actions, but his thoughts and heart. The word scrutinized here is zarof, which means to refine metal by fire, to test the purity of gold or silver. David is saying his character has been through the fire and proven genuine. But notice what comes next. I am determined not to sin in what I say, even in the midst of injustice, even when he has every right to be angry. David commits to controlling his words. This is advanced emotional intelligence. It's easy to maintain integrity when life is going well, but David is choosing righteous speech even when he's under attack. Modern neuroscience confirms this wisdom. The words you speak during stress actually rewire your brain patterns. Speak with integrity under pressure, and you build neural pathways for wisdom and self-control. I have followed your commands, which keep me from following cruel and evil people. My steps have stayed on your path. I have not wavered from following you. David is describing what psychologists call values-based living, making decisions based on your core principles rather than circumstances or emotions. The phrase cruel and evil people in Hebrew refers to those who use violence and oppression to get what they want. David is saying that his commitment to doing right has naturally separated him from toxic influences. This is profound. When you consistently choose integrity, you automatically create distance from people who operate through manipulation, aggression, or deceit. They can't relate to your way of operating, and you become incompatible with their methods. Think about the people who cause you the most stress. Are they people who share your values, or people who operate from completely different principles? David understood that following the right path doesn't just change your destination, it changes your traveling companions. I am praying to you because I know you will answer. O God, bend down and listen as I pray. The confidence in David's voice is remarkable. He's not begging or hoping, he's stating a fact based on experience. The phrase bend down uses imagery of a parent leaning in to hear a child's whisper. David understands that prayer isn't about convincing a reluctant deity. It's about connecting with ultimate love and justice. This kind of confidence comes from a track record of answered prayers and experienced faithfulness. But here's what's fascinating. David's certainty doesn't come from getting everything he wants, but from knowing that his requests align with justice and truth. When you're living with integrity and asking for what's right rather than just what's convenient, you can pray with this kind of confidence. Modern psychology calls this coherent narrative. When your values, actions, and requests all align, you experience internal peace and external confidence. Your life makes sense, and that gives you strength to face opposition. Show me your unfailing love in wonderful ways. By your mighty power, you rescue those who seek refuge from their enemies. David is asking for something specific, not just help, but help that demonstrates God's character. The word wonderful here is pala, meaning extraordinary or miraculous beyond normal human capability. David wants his rescue to be so remarkable that it's obviously divine intervention. This isn't ego, it's strategy. When your vindication comes through extraordinary means, it sends a message to everyone watching. It says that truth and righteousness have backing that goes beyond human politics or power. David understands that how you're rescued matters as much as being rescued. He wants his enemies to know they're not just fighting against him personally, they're fighting against ultimate justice itself. This kind of thinking transforms how you approach conflict. Instead of taking everything personally, you start seeing yourself as a representative of truth and righteousness, which gives you supernatural courage and peace. Guard me as you would guard your own eyes. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. These are two of the most beautiful metaphors for protection in all of literature. Your eyes are instinctively protected. You blink without thinking. You turn away from danger automatically. David is asking for that kind of intuitive, immediate protection. The phrase shadow of your wings evokes the image of a mother bird sheltering her chicks, but it's also a reference to the cherubim whose wings covered the mercy seat in the temple. David is asking to be hidden in the most sacred, protected space imaginable. What's remarkable is that David feels safe enough to ask for this level of care. Many people struggle with feeling worthy of protection or help. They've been conditioned to believe they should handle everything alone, that asking for help is weakness. But David understands that accepting protection is actually a form of wisdom and humility. You don't have to face every battle alone, and recognizing your need for help is strength, not weakness. Protect me from wicked people who attack me, from murderous enemies who surround me. They are without pity. Listen to their boasting. Now David gets specific about his opposition. The Hebrew word for wicked is rasha, meaning those who are guilty, hostile to what's right. These aren't just people who disagree with David, they're people who actively oppose truth and justice. David says they're without pity. The Hebrew chelub refers to their hearts being covered with fat, insensitive, hardened to others' pain, and they're boasting, publicly celebrating their plans to destroy him. This description might sound extreme, but think about modern toxic behavior, cyberbullying, cancel culture, workplace harassment, domestic abuse. David is describing people who have lost their empathy and take pleasure in others' suffering. Recognizing this level of toxicity is crucial for your mental health. Sometimes the opposition you face isn't just disagreement or conflict, it's actual evil. And when you're dealing with that level of toxicity, normal conflict resolution strategies don't work. You need divine intervention. They track me down and surround me, watching for the chance to throw me to the ground. They are like hungry lions, eager to tear me apart like young lions hiding in ambush. David uses animal imagery to describe predatory behavior. These people aren't interested in fair conflict or resolution, they're hunting him. The phrase, "throw me to the ground," suggests they want to humiliate him, not just defeat him. Lions don't negotiate with their prey. They stalk, surround, and attack. David is describing people who have become predatory in their behavior toward him. This is important to recognize in modern contexts. Some people really are trying to destroy you, not just win an argument or get their way. They want to see you fail, suffer, and be humiliated. Understanding this helps you respond appropriately. You don't negotiate with predators. You get help and protection. You don't try to reason with people who see you as prey. David's animal metaphors aren't just poetic, they're diagnostic. When you recognize predatory behavior, you can stop trying to fix relationships that were never actually relationships to begin with. Arise, O Lord, stand against them, and bring them to their knees. Rescue me from the wicked with your sword. This is David's call for divine intervention. The word arise is a military term. David is asking God to take the field of battle. Bring them to their knees doesn't necessarily mean destroy them. It means humble them, show them their true position relative to ultimate authority. The sword represents God's power to cut through deception and establish truth. What's remarkable is that David isn't asking to personally destroy his enemies, he's asking God to handle it. This takes incredible restraint and wisdom. When you're under attack, every instinct screams for revenge, for the satisfaction of personal retaliation. But David understands something profound. When you let God handle your enemies, the victory is more complete and more satisfying than anything you could accomplish on your own. Plus, it keeps your hands clean and your heart pure. Modern psychology calls this emotional regulation through transcendence, finding peace by connecting with something bigger than your immediate emotional reactions. By the power of your hand, O Lord, destroy those who look to this world for their reward, but satisfy the hunger of your treasured ones. May their children have plenty, leaving an inheritance for their descendants. David draws a stark contrast between two types of people, those whose hopes are entirely earthly, and those whom God treasures. The phrase "look to this world for their reward" describes people whose entire value system is based on what they can get in this life: wealth, power, fame, pleasure. David is asking that their worldly success be shown to be ultimately empty. Meanwhile, he asks for lasting blessing on treasured ones, people who value eternal things. The word treasured is segula, meaning a special possession, something precious and carefully guarded. David is confident that he belongs to this category, not because he's perfect, but because his values align with what's truly important. This worldview completely changes how you handle opposition. Instead of competing on their terms, who can get more stuff, more status, more immediate gratification, you operate from a completely different value system. and that gives you patience to wait for ultimate justice. Because I am righteous, I will see you. When I awake, I will see you face to face and be satisfied. David ends with absolute confidence in his ultimate destiny. The word righteous here isn't claiming sinlessness, it's claiming alignment with what's right. David knows that his heart, motives, and actions are oriented toward truth and justice, even if he's not perfect in execution. The phrase "when I awake" could refer to morning, to resurrection, or to a moment of complete clarity and vindication. Either way, David is certain that ultimate truth will be revealed, and he will be satisfied with the outcome. This is the peace that comes from living with integrity. You know that eventually, all truth comes to light. You don't have to fight every battle or defend yourself from every accusation because time and truth are on your side. This confidence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being honest about your heart and committed to doing what's right, even when it costs you something. These ancient words from David aren't just a complaint or a request for help. They're a masterclass in handling opposition with integrity, confidence, and wisdom. David shows us how to stand up for ourselves without becoming what we're fighting against, how to ask for justice without taking revenge, and how to maintain peace in the midst of conflict. From recognizing predatory behavior to trusting in ultimate justice, David gives us a framework for navigating the most difficult relationships and situations in our lives. If this psalm resonated with you, share in the comments about a time when you had to choose between taking revenge and trusting in something bigger than yourself. And if you want to continue exploring these timeless wisdom texts while improving your English, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Next week, we're diving into Psalm 18, where David celebrates one of the most dramatic rescues in biblical history. And you'll discover why gratitude is actually a form of warfare against negativity and despair. Remember, learning English through these ancient texts isn't just about language. It's about discovering principles that can transform how you handle life's biggest challenges.